So thanks everyone for joining us. I'm so pleased to have Sharon here from MASI in Ireland. Thank you so much for agreeing to do the interview. And I was hoping that you could just, first of all, talk about yourself and what you do at MASI and what they do.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Sharon. I'm a member of MASI. Basically, MASI doesn't have a role. Everyone is just equal. Just a solidarity member of MASI. And basically what MASI is all about is it's a grassroots organization that was founded by asylum seekers to address the challenges they faced while living in direct provisions. Our demands are the end of direct provision, proper right to work, right to education, the stop deportation, and children's rights. So basically, in a nutshell, we are advocating for asylum seekers to have equal rights.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And what is direct provision for a lot of the people in North America probably watching? They're not sure. So what is direct provision and how did it come about?
Okay, direct provision is a system whereby when you seek international protection, you are kept in a hostel or a center called a reception center while you are waiting your refugee application to be processed. It was introduced in 2000 as temporary measure in response to the rising numbers of new asylum seeker application that were coming in. And at a particular moment, you are not allowed to work for the first 9 months while you are in the country, while they're still in the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are some of the reasons why people would flee their countries and come to a place like Ireland?
Okay, there are many different reasons why people flee from their countries of origin. For instance, like political reasons, torture, gender-based violence, rape, forced marriages, women abuse, wars, sexuality preferences, the LGBT, those kind of things, yeah. But it varies from different person to person and from each different country of origin.
Okay, so there's lots of reasons, all human rights abuses basically, that comes down to why people want to flee.
Yeah.
And can you just take us through the process? So when someone is a refugee or they're in the process of seeking asylum, what is that process and how does that work once they get there?
Okay, once a person flees their country of origin, if for instances, some people, they meet up with smugglers whom they pay large sums of money to organize documentations for them to travel and flee from their countries. Sometimes you don't even know where or which country you're going to end up in until the last moment when you are boarding a plane. And then on arrival, let's say at the airport of the country of your destination, you have to declare yourself as seeking international protection or asylum. Then you go into the process where they'll have to take you through the whole process from the application, getting into direct provision until you get your interview date, and then whenever they decide, the decision is made whether you are granted or you are denied the application.
Okay. And what is it like living in direct provision? What are some of the restrictions and what's it like for families and people who are living there?
It is quite frustrating living in direct provision because your life is completely taken away from you. You don't have a choice in what to do, what to say, who you stay with, or who you share a room with. You find that you are confined in a small room where you share a room with 3 people from different countries that you don't know. There is no privacy, and especially like, let's say you've got children, you are sharing a room with your kids, and also the overcrowding. And there's like, especially now with the COVID-19, there is no social distancing. Yeah, it's very difficult to social distancing, and the restrictions also is like you can't do much. It's like you are in a more dignified prison where you are being like spoon-fed what to do and what not to do, and you are not allowed visitors to come see you. If you have to go see a visitor, you have to report in advance that you want to go out. You are only given a maximum of maybe 2 days out to sleep out. If you exceed those days, your space is taken away from you. You have to reapply for you to get a place to stay. So it's very frustrating.
That sounds a lot like prison.
That's why I'm saying it's a dignified prison.
Yeah, and like I guess I think about the, you know, there's the trauma of leaving your entire world and what you know, what's everything's familiar to you, and then you're in a completely new country and then put in these conditions. It's very inhumane, and it just makes me think of like the mental health of the people who are, you know, trying to do, you know, good, and they're trying to like help themselves, and they can't.
Yeah. It really does affect a lot mental health for a lot of people, because you are now being traumatized. You thought you're coming here to be protected. You find that also there's barriers that are blocking you, and you know, some people are welcoming, some are just being, you know, trying to be resistant, and so it becomes traumatic, and people end up suffering from mental breakdowns, of which is not ideal for a person who's seeking international protection.
Yeah. So if direct provision, you know, government spending money on direct provision, it's horrible for the people who are living in this situation. So what is going on behind the scenes? Like, who is profiting from direct provision?
Okay, yes, direct provision, it doesn't work for the government and also for us as asylum seekers. The only people that are benefiting are the owners of these accommodation centers. Some people are using former B&Bs, hotels. Those are the people that are benefiting out of this whole direct provision process, and they are making profits out of it at the misery of the asylum seekers.
I found this recently, some of the numbers between, and it blew my mind. So between 2000 and 2015, Campbell Catering was Aramark, 41 million euros that they made. Mill Street Equestrian Center, 73 million. Bridgestock Unlimited, 90. Like, so it's just this capitalistic, like,
they're out to make
profit.
They're making profit instead of trying to understand the plight of the person seeking international protection.
Yeah. And are there, because there's so much information on the internet and there's so much racism that's embedded in all of this, are there any myths that you want to dispel that people have about refugees and asylum seekers?
Yeah, there are quite a lot.
Okay,
there are quite a lot of myths regarding asylum seekers or refugees. Like, for instance, they're here to get social money, they are lazy, they are disease carriers, you know, some are here to prostitute, and, you know, we're just good for nothing, and of which is not true. It's the government that's creating the restrictions that asylum seekers can't work. At least if we can be able to work and sustain ourselves and see that we are there to actually help the economy of the country, and also it will be a plus. But no, they think we are there to steal their jobs. We're just here for the social money, and you know, we like, even if you've got the qualification and stuff, you're not even allowed to access a mere thing like a driver's license. You can't.
That's basic. You need to have that thing, like, even for, if you can't work, you can't, or you can't have legal ID.
Yes.
You know, to interview. How are you supposed to work? How are you supposed to integrate and work? And if there's so many restrictions. Yeah.
So it's basically, there are quite a lot of things where, you know, at times that, like you're saying, that racism it's rife. Though some people can sugarcoat it and say it's not there, but it is there. Especially if a person with a dark skin color, you know, you're always associated with poverty, in economical migrant, you know, all those kind of things. And
And I guess, so what do you think, I guess, what are some ideas that you have for ways that people can help, either within the organization or politically, or what are some of the ways that people can maybe help to fight against direct provision?
People can help us by raising awareness amongst their communities, amongst their peers, especially now with the social medias that is there. And they can even follow us on our MASI online on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and
Okay.
also maybe to share with your platforms as well to
Mm-hmm.
address that this thing, it's there, it's real, it's a thing that we are living with in daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if the government can realize that we are here not to milk out the government, but we want to work also to help the growth of the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's some great advice. Thank you so much. And thanks again for taking the time out of your
It's a
day to speak
pleasure.
with me.
It's a pleasure. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure for having me.